You never know what your immune system is good at until it's tested.
Hey strangers, appreciate you pulling up to the neighborhood. To all my neighbors, appreciate you checking in on the brother. This be the residents of Chaotic Prince, and today we're gonna learn something. We back with Kurzgesagt. Y'all know. The best way to boost your immune system with science. Now, this is actually an older video, and I've been had this reaction out. I remember, I think the title was something along the lines like your immune system is trying to you or something. But I guess they had to change the title, of course, with that one like that in YouTube. But yeah, we got the best way to boost your immune system with science. So yeah, we're finna shrink deep down inside, learn about ourselves and why we be getting sick and why our bodies be trying to hurt ourselves so much. When we're trying to heal. Like, come on now. Why I gotta hurt? Without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the video. But before I go ahead and do any of that, I need y'all to go ahead and hit that like button for me. Help me get on this algorithm. Help me get on this YouTube stuff for real. Drop something down in the comments. Let me know what's up, how you been feeling. And if you're new to the channel, stop being a stranger, become a neighbor. Hit that subscribe button. Join the channel. Join the neighborhood. Yeah, get you some plot, settle up, community gonna grow. With all that being said, let's get to it. Link to the original video down in the script. Let's go.
There's this idea floating around that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that surviving a disease leaves you better off. And it seems to make sense because we've all experienced this. When you go through hardship, often you come out more resilient, more ready to face a difficult situation in the future. But it turns out that sometimes what doesn't kill you makes you weaker. So what happens when you get sick? The machinery of war. Think of yourself as a large country with a sizable army to defend it. You're surrounded by enemies that want to take your land, your energy, your resources. This is a matter of life and death, so your body evolved to be sensitive to damage and to the presence of enemies. Because this means that an invasion might happen at any moment and that it has to act fast. Let's start an invasion and see what happens. The moment your cells notice that something is off, they release an onslaught of signal proteins called cytokines. They're like air raid sirens that activate all sorts of immune cells that then themselves release many more cytokines, amplifying the alarm. Soon, you're flooded with signals that trigger precautions and countermeasures. Mobilization is underway. Your brain activates sickness behavior and reorganizes your body's priorities to defense. The first thing you notice is that your energy level drops and you get sleepy. You feel apathetic, often anxious or down, and you lose your appetite. Your sensitivity to pain is heightened and you seek out rest. All of this serves to save your energy and reroute it into your immune response. You become a country under attack, switching into a war economy. Because
So my body is stealing my my well-being and happiness to fight off some germs. So that the sacrifice of surviving the illness. I get, yeah, okay.
Activating your immune system is intensely disruptive and draining. Just like war is expensive for a country as industry switches to building tanks, your immune system demands huge amounts of energy, amino acids, and microelements to build its weapons. Take fever. It speeds up your metabolism and makes your cells work harder and faster while creating heat that's pretty stressful for many invaders, but it uses up a lot of calories to maintain. Then your immune system begins to clone millions of specialized immune cells to respond specifically to the enemy infecting you. B cells produce millions of antibodies every second, each requiring hundreds of amino acids to construct. Billions or even trillions of proteins need to be made to refresh the complement system, a minefield inside your blood. Cytokines, the mobilization and information signals, also need constant refreshing. Usually, you acquire your resources by eating. But when you're sick, your body slows down your digestion because it needs a lot of energy you can't spare. So it
Wait. Let's go back real quick.
Usually, you acquire your resources by eating. But when you're sick, your body slows down your digestion because it needs a lot of energy you can't spare.
So, my body needs proteins to fight, but it can't take proteins to
So
fight.
it reaches for
Okay,
the
I don't
easiest
know. Maybe
source
I'm
of
wrong.
amino acids and starts breaking down your muscles. All that muscle that you worked so hard for is sacrificed to keep you alive. If you're young and healthy and fit, you'll make up for that quickly once you're better. But if you're old or very young, weak or suffer from chronic illness, this may be way too draining. Your body is literally consuming itself to keep the defense going. If your whole system is already strained, when you get sick, just keeping your immune responses going can overwhelm your capacities. Your immune system is a jerk. Our enemies too. Your immune system is as dangerous to you as it is to enemies. There's a very fragile balance between the damage caused by an infection and the collateral damage caused by immune cells. One of your first responders are neutrophils. Imagine crazy aggressive chimps with machine guns. If a neutrophil encounters enemies, it showers them with chemicals that cut them open, but can also damage civilian cells, especially if the patient is already compromised, for example by smoking. On top of that, the microorganisms that invade you often release chemicals and toxins that can cause significant damage and cell death. So a
My bad, y'all. I was thinking about that dang chimp with the AK, the AR.
open, but can also damage civilian cells, especially if the patient is already compromised, for example by smoking. On top of that, the microorganisms that invade you often release chemicals and toxins that can cause significant damage and cell death. So a serious infection often causes many tiny wounds, literally holes in your organs. As you can imagine, it's not great to have holes and wounds in your organs, and your body rushes to close them. Your neutrophils and macrophages help by releasing chemicals.
Y'all, I did not need that image. I will forever
That signal the body to start repairs, and most of the damage is quickly filled up with regrowing cells. But others are filled with collagen, a sort of fixal organic cement that gives your gooey tissue structural integrity. You've seen the result on your skin as scars. A scar is different from the original tissue. It has no functioning cells in it. It's like a sloppily applied cement patch. It can't do what the original tissue was doing. A scar on your heart makes it beat a tiny bit weaker. A scar on the lungs no longer captures oxygen. A scar on your liver makes it a worse filter. And so as you go through life and survive serious disease after serious disease, the functionality of your organs may decrease. The damage is usually small enough not to affect your quality of life, but can be permanent. Okay, this sounds depressing, but there is actually something you can do to avoid a lot of this damage and train your immune system. The best way to train your immune system. Your immune system is unique. Everyone has a slightly different immune system that's stronger against some enemies and weaker against others, which makes evolutionary sense, as this protects our species from being wiped out by a single infection. Collectively, the immune system of the human species is a spectrum. Most people respond well enough to an infection, a few are super responders, and a few don't respond well and die. Some people survive the Black Death, are more resistant to HIV or coronavirus, or even resistant against Ebola. Others are killed easily by the flu, or are highly vulnerable to certain bacterial infections. Where you are on this spectrum is impossible to predict, and you also respond differently to every possible infection. This is why seemingly very healthy young people died from COVID, while for some elderly people, it was more like a mild flu. The idea that you can weather all sorts of diseases if you never get a cold is wrong. You never know what your immune system is good at until it's tested.
Hey, dang, why they not little Brady out like that? Yo, that was out of line. I get it. Humble yourself, but Jesus. I could have left. Wait, let me put it right. Let me see. This motherfucker got bonked out,
is
man.
wrong. You never know what your immune system is good at until it's tested. Getting sick is a gamble in life's casino with your health on the line. Always. But there is something you can
Ain't no
do,
winning.
hacking one of the best features of your immune system. When you survive a disease, usually you have better defenses against it afterwards. You gain memory cells that are very good at killing the specific enemy you fought that day. So you either don't get the disease again, or the next infection is much milder. And you can use an incredible achievement of human ingenuity that taps into this mechanism to prevent damage from disease and train your immune system. Vaccines. Vaccines basically pretend to be a disease and train your defenses to be ready if it ever shows up for real. The goal is to create the same memory cells that you would get after surviving an infection. But if you can feel some side effects, why should you still do it? Nature versus Vaccine Dojo. You have two options to train your immune system: Vaccine Dojo and Nature Dojo. In Vaccine Dojo, you train with paper weapons and learn to defend yourself. Sure, you might get a black eye or a bruise. Sometimes after a vaccine, you get sick for a few days, but that's generally it. No scars, no permanent damage. We discussed vaccine side effects in detail in another video if you want to learn more. On the other hand, getting a disease to become immune means going to a nature dojo. In Nature Dojo, you train with real weapons, sharp knives, and swords. Things might still work out, but with way more cuts and wounds. But from time to time, someone will die, be it a kid from measles or an adult from influenza. Nature Dojo is just way more risky. On top of that, the immunity you get from a vaccine is often better than the natural resistance because they're engineered to engage your immune system in a more productive.
Damn. They beat it is yo. The green birds
Better than the natural resistance because they're engineered to engage your immune system in a more productive way. Of course, vaccines are not magic, and sometimes they don't protect us as well as we'd like them to. Maybe because an enemy mutates too quickly, like the Omicron coronavirus, or because your specific immune system does not respond well to the vaccine and builds less of a defense. Still, being vaccinated is one of the best tools to train your natural defenses. In the end, if we look at the stunning progress humanity has made in the last century, eventually we may overcome disease for good. But until then, we can do our best to take care of ourselves and others. Your body and your older self will be grateful to you.
It's a nice little ambiance. I like the sound. Hey. Very informational. I understand a lot now. It makes no sense, but it's like it's pretty much living life ARPG, and getting sick is just a gamble. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, that's all for today's learning song. So y'all go ahead, subscribe to their channel, subscribe to mine. Cause y'all know what I gotta do, and it's the rules. I'm finna head back to my world. I'm gonna let y'all get yours. May our universes collide in the neighborhood one day. Go. I'm chopping up. Go ahead, hit that like button. Come and get on in this algorithm for real. Drop something down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this. Let me know how you feel about your body now after knowing this. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and stop being a stranger, become a neighbor. Hit that subscribe button. That's simple.